Russia has started the war against the civilization, against the 21st century, against the whole world, and Vladimir Putin is ready to demonstrate his nukes for the whole world, saying, I'm ready to do it, and you will see consequences that you have never seen in your previous life. So it was Russia who launched this war, and Putin was happy to run a hybrid war against Ukraine for 8 years. Now he is ready to fight the same hybrid war, information war, cyber war with the United States. So it's a significant response is finally the United States and the West in general have recognized that it's not a joke. Yeah, Putin was fighting against the West for many years, for many months, with different operations, and the West was looking, okay, it's not as serious. No, it's much more than serious. So I understand that that is one of the responses from the West in this hybrid war. Yes, it is, because if Russia wants to use the instruments of the current civilization, if Russia wants to use instruments of the globalized economy, the globalized world, the US dollar, the euro, the British legal system, American legal system, European legal system, okay, Russia should behave itself according to the rules. If Russia doesn't want it, okay,
Indeed.
Russia may leave Western civilization.
Indeed, Sergey, and that's what has investors globally so concerned right now. Let's talk about what's happening right now. What options does the central bank have to prevent the run on the ruble that we're seeing as we speak, and a likely collapse in equity markets when trading gets underway today, if perhaps it does get underway later today?
First of all, I'm not worried at all about rubles. Yeah, Central Bank of Russia will provide any liquidity to major banks to pay depositors who would like to withdraw their ruble deposits from banks. So it's not an issue, and from the crisis of 2008, 2014, it is well known if banks are able to supply banknotes to their ATMs machine for a couple of days, the panic, the demand for cash rubles will disappear. So I do not envisage any significant, if any, problems with cash rubles, with banknotes. As well, it will be very interesting to see what is going on the equity market, because as you may know, this night the letter from the central bank appeared, which prohibited any non-resident to sell stocks and bonds in the Russian market. Yeah, but the capital outflow of non-residents was one of the major reasons for the collapse of the Russian stock market. For example, if we take the major Russian bank Sberbank, 50% is owned by the government, 45% is owned by non-residents, and 5% is owned by Russian residents. So, of course, in this situation, even the sale of 2, 3, 5% of the stakes of these shares by non-residents meet no demand, because nobody in Russia wants to purchase Sberbank even in the better time, and not saying now. Yeah, and if central bank bans a non-resident sale, it may improve situation in the equity market. We shall see. It will be very interesting to monitor this morning.
Indeed. Okay, we'll be watching that closely. And Sergey, just before we let you go, I want your reaction to the news that BP is going to be pulling its investment from Rosneft. We know that BP has been a major, landmark, cornerstone Western investor in Russian oil and gas. It is a significant vote of no confidence in your country. What do you think it means for other Western companies operating in Russia, and are we going to see similar moves from them?
I hope that the consolidation of the Western public opinion, of the Western politicians, will enforce many of Western companies who operate in natural resources, in gas, in oil, in metals, to leave Russia. Because it is unacceptable when major international corporations support Putin regime by increasing its industrial base, by helping him to produce more oil, more gas, and so on. I think more companies to follow.
Sergey, before we let you go, it's Hadley in Moscow. What's your sense of what this will actually mean for everyday Russians? Do you believe that we're going to see people on the streets? And could Mr. Putin's own inner circle, his oligarchs, if you will, turn against him?
I don't think so. I don't think so. First of all, we should remember that 2/3 of Russian have no any savings at all, not saying foreign exchange savings. They don't know how dollar looks like and what does it mean. And the impact, inflationary impact of the devaluation will come not immediately. It will come in the next 4 to 6 months, and everybody will forget about what happened 4 months before. And we have to remember that since 1991, Russian people were rather reluctant to economic disturbances. There was no any major strike, any political unrest because of worsening of the economic situation in the country. There was no protests against high inflation, against increasing taxes. So I do not think that this market turbulence, even if the devaluation of the ruble will be by 50% like it was in 2015, it will cause any political unrest. So Russian people in the 30 years of history after the Soviet Union experienced several times the devaluation of the ruble, the high inflation. So it seems to me they don't pay a big political attention to this issue. As to the inner circle of Mr. Putin, as of now, we have seen his nearest circle the beginning of the previous week on the Security Council meeting, and we can say that there is no any person who is able to say no, or Mr. Putin, let us think a little bit. Yeah, they were all Mr. Yes, and I do not believe that any one of them is ready to resist.